Promoter Frank Bass is trying to keep his head above water while handling his wrestling territory. He tries to keep the seats full for his wrestling cards, all while juggling the obligations to his talent. Bass has an idea for a Super Bowl of wrestling, a WrestleMania, if you will, and he's got the support of the other promoters in the country. His top star, Mike Bullard, is getting up in age and he needs to find a talent that will serve as a worthy successor, namely British grappler Billy Taylor. Meanwhile, Bullard is dealing with people telling him to retire, ranging from Bass to his wife. Adding to that pressure is the numerous deaths of wrestlers while in the ring. The Wrestler was a film produced by Verne Gagne, the owner of the AWA promotion based out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm sure that title was chosen because calling the film The Promoter wouldn't draw as much attention. Much like Alias the Champ, the film was made to show wrestling as a true competitive sport. There's even a subplot of a racketeer trying to bring gambling into wrestling, before he's quickly stopped by Dick the Bruiser and the Crusher. The film really shows its age at times, most notably when Gagne as Bullard is introducing rookies. These rookies include The Sheik from Detroit, Bruno Sammartino, Fritz Von Erich, Mad Dog Vachon, and Danny Hodge. There's a scene where Dory Funk Jr. is mentioned as a possible replacement, and Bullard's wife refers to Funk as young. The crowds also show the film as a product of a bygone era. You had people of all ages and races in the audience, men, women, children, black and white, something you don't see in today's crowds. It debunks the WWE narrative that wrestling was a sideshow. I'll let Dutch Mantel illustrate how big wrestling was at this time.
Let's say I got, we got the cameraman there, and we got you, and we got me, and say we got, gentleman here, whatever. So we all wrestled each other around for 6 months. And we do tag teams, and we do three-ways, and we do this and that, and do all kind of, specialty matches. But after 6-8 months, we about worn out everything we can do. You know what the old territories used to do? They say, well, Dutch, why don't you, we'll say we're in Memphis, why don't you go to Charlotte for 6 months? I've talked to them over there. You go over there, and Sean, I'm going to send you to Dallas, okay? And then 2 guys will replace us. Mm-hmm. Now it has a whole different dynamic. Now the fans say, wow, man, these guys, now this is different. I go to Charlotte, you go to Texas, we all make money, and then about 6 to 9 months, we come back.
Or you come over to Texas after I got a program started.
And that's how it used to work. Wahoo McDaniel and Johnny Valentine used to follow each other around, territory to territory to territory, and they made business for 10 years.
And today now you've only got one big one and kind of another big one, but nowhere to go.
Well, in my book, The World According to Dutch, available on Amazon.com, when I broke into the business, not one territory, not 2 companies, or we call them territories, or not 3 promotions, 32 different promotions that you could work for. If you got into the business and you were just halfway proficient at professional wrestling, if you just weren't totally inept, you had a career. I mean, you couldn't make all the companies, even if you spent a year in each one, because if you started when you was 20, you couldn't make all of them. You'd be 52, you time to quit. You know what I mean?
The film isn't afraid to have the plots come to a screeching halt in favor of random bouts, comedy bits, promos, and wrestling history. This tonal inconsistency will throw a lot of people off, but I think that adds to the charm of the film. You've got superstar Billy Graham in his prime on the mic. There's a funny bar brawl with Dusty Rhodes and Dick Murdoch. In one drawn-out sequence, Bullard gives a lesson to trainees on the history of wrestling and giving tips on how to properly execute moves. While some may lose their patience, I found these knowledge drops to be informative. James A. Westman's only directorial effort was The Wrestler. He's better known for his work as a production manager, notably The Fan with Wesley Snipes and Robert De Niro, Smokey and the Bandit, as well as for television, Charlie's Angels and Magnum P.I. Ed Asner plays Frank Bass. He has a schlubbiness to him that makes him believable in the role. He comes off as blue-collar in a high-profile business. Asner has a legendary career ranging from television to film to video games. Verne Gagne plays Bullard, the aging wrestler that's the main star of Bass's promotion. Gagne plays Bullard in a heelish manner. He fakes injuries, goes to business for himself in matches, and steals credit when Bass announces the match between Bullard and Taylor. There's no shortage of wrestling talent in this film. British grappler Billy Robinson played Bill Taylor. You also have Nick Bockwinkel, Wahoo McDaniel, Jim Brunzell, Mike Graham, and Larry the Axe Henning. If you're a student of wrestling history, The Wrestler has a lot to offer. You might be bored by the main plot of Bass and Bullard, but there's still much to keep you entertained. The full movie can be found on YouTube.